Welcome to Kenzo Gaming, and today I'm going to show you an epic gameplay. What's so special about this gameplay is that it's going to show you a lot of artillery firing, a lot of destruction, large formations of tanks, massive blobs of helicopters attacking, and also you will see large numbers of soldiers. At some points there will be 120 soldiers concentrated in attack. And also at the end of the game, in the last 8 minutes, you will see very brutal napalm warfare. So if you just want to see the napalm warfare, you might want to skip to the end. You will see it on the timer. When the timer reaches 8 minutes, that's when you will actually reach the napalm fighting. So this game is limited by time. It has 50 minutes, and also it is restricted by points, but I have to tell you straight away that actually this game is going to end by timer. So let's have a look what I'm doing here. My strategy here was to take Bravo and Charlie and then advance and deny reinforcements from Echo, and then I wanted to push forward and take over Golf. Pretty straightforward, and let's see what happens. As you can see, I have been targeted by a lot of Grad. Those are modern type Katyusha trucks, and they'll be using them really heavily. And at the same time you can see a large blob of helicopters firing, and if you look what I have only 2 Rolands here as a defense, and then I should have a Chaparral here at the back. Well, and then in any case, to take out such a big blob of helicopters, 2 mortars might not be enough. So what do? I decide that I am going to use my mortars and use my mortars to fire at this area. And even though the shell itself, it cannot hit the helicopter mid-air, when it lands on the ground and explodes, it will stun the helicopter, damage it, or even destroy it. And that's what I have decided to do. So you can see the effect. You can actually see that some of the helicopters have been damaged by it. Now he keeps on bombarding me, but I'm keeping my units spread out, so even though I'm taking losses, it's costing him a lot of supplies to deal damage to. He sent his helicopters away for repairs, but obviously he's going to come back, so it's a good idea to bring then more AA. As you can see, my mortar is damaged, and now the helicopters are taking him in. So again I fire my artillery, and you can see it has been damaged heavily. The helicopters are all burning. In the meantime, I can of course see that there are some Katyushas firing from here, and let's have a look at them from close. Then obviously I also decide that I'm going to counter them by firing back. So let's have a look at them. Now you can see my mortars firing. Even though I do not manage to destroy them, I damage them, and also I damage their morale, which is always good because then they are not so accurate at firing at me. As you can see, the enemy is enjoying superiority in terms of artillery firepower, but it is obvious that he cannot be shelling me so aggressively for 50 minutes because he definitely didn't bring 8 FOBs for that. So if we look at his supplies, you can see that 3 of his FOBs are already completely empty, and this one is being used up rather fast, I might add, while we still have 3 almost full FOBs. Okay, let's say 2.5. Then I decided to send 2 tanks forward. and I could see the enemy artillery here. And even though the helicopters wanted to stop me, I managed to shoot down many of them, so it was still a win-win for me. Now he sent a lot of recoilless rifles here, and I decided to counter that by sending some infantry, because the infantry will not be harmed by the recoilless rifles. So we will actually see how they are destroying 3 of them. However, they get destroyed very soon afterwards by the tanks which have been here. At this point you can actually see he has a lot of fagot cars here, and he's sending a massive force of tanks and APCs. So this will be obviously really hard for me to counter, especially considering that I have already lost most of my artillery, if not all. So let's have a look at this. Obviously it's good for me that he's keeping his units so close, because then we are managing to counter them pretty well with our own artillery, namely the artillery of my ally. As you can see, they're already panicking and they're rogue. So this is how you can stop a relatively strong assault. As you can see, I do not have much defenses here. I have only some infantry, some regular and some anti-tank, and then some AA. And my friend over here has some gazelles and some other units, but many of them are lacking ammo. Of course, these ATGM are very important for me. Let's have a look at these infantry, what they're doing. Well, they're trying, but obviously in the open ground they get destroyed really easily. That's the end to them, but it is also the end of me staying here. So I'm moving my forces back. I also asked my ally to go back, but somehow he decides to stay longer. He does have a few. Okay. As you can see, I'm setting my trucks back and forth to resupply. I'm making a new front line here and hoping to hold as long as possible. The game is going to be ending in 18 minutes, so two-thirds of the game are already over. And the artillery which we're using is pretty efficient against this player, so I was hoping for the best. As you can see now, he's attacking with a lot of T-34s. They're very good at they're very cheap, only 15 points each, and they also have machine guns, so they are also a threat to helicopters. At the same time, if you look now at the situation, you can see that we have 3,100 points while they have only 2,400. This means that in any case they have to keep the initiative, they have to keep attacking, because if they just defend, they would lose the game. Also, what is important to note is that at this point they are earning 9 points every 4 seconds, while we are earning only 6. So they do have the capabilities to bring a much larger force. If you look at the supplies, their FOBs are all empty. This is mainly thanks to the 4 Grad units. And as you can see, they are already amassing some forces here. And it was also the reason why I brought in the Zippos here. And and also send more units. I sent as much as possible here, sending all my units there, and the only defense which came to this front line were supplies. So supplies were the only things those guys could rely on. So let's have a look at this area. We lost the FOB here, and as you can see, there is some movement. Forces are being amassed there. My ally is going to bring his forces back and retake the FOB. The FOB is very important, but at the same time it's much harder to defend here than defending this area. And now it's starting. You can see that the Zippo is drilling the units really fast. Infantry doesn't stand a chance against them. When attacking, I would have suggested to use some Napalm tanks for the PACT players, and also it would have been a good idea to bring in some Shilkas or maybe some tanks to counter the Zippos. Now you can see a big force of units coming. So we have 40 units here, and then another 120 soldiers here. A massive force. But when fighting against Napalm, it's best to split them all up and attack in a very long line. Then they would actually have a chance. Also, these swamps, they do not provide as much cover as forest, so it would have been really good for them to actually take over this area, maybe then advance this way. I guess they simply didn't assume that there is going to be so much resistance. After all, there was no fighting there before. In the meantime, I can show you what happened here. They went through the forest, and I did not have enough forces to defend here, so I had to withdraw here. And obviously soon afterwards I would have to set up a new defense line here. But since the game is going to end in 3 minutes, and we have a big advantage of points, then it doesn't matter, because we have now 4,700 and they have 3,400. Not much is going to change in 2 minutes now. Our last desperate attempt. As you can see, a lot of the forest is destroyed. And this is the end of the game. Hope you enjoyed it.